So I've already shown you how to do the wacky rig, and today we're going to be learning how to do the Texas rig. Okay, so the Texas rig is a very versatile way of rigging your baits. It's one of the most popular ways that you can rig soft plastics. You can use a variety of soft plastics in this rigging technique. For example, we have these Yum creature baits here, as well as some Yum Dinger, which is a Senko type stick bait, as well as these Catchco Pro Series paddle tails. So you can pretty much Texas rig any soft plastic bait as long as the hook will fit on there. So starting off, the first things you're going to need you're going to need a hook here, and I got this this is regular worm hook. You can use any size you want depending on your bait. This is going to be a weedless variation of the Texas rig. That's the most common variation that you will find. Next thing you're going to need is you're going to need a worm weight here. I have two different ones, which are two different sizes. You can pick your size depending on how fast you want the bait to fall and how heavy you want it to be. So just going over mechanics here, as you can see, I drew out a little diagram here. So you got your line here, and here's your worm weight. There's another variation where you can use a bobber stopper to stop the weight from sliding here, because the weight will slide. But I will show you how to do that. I don't really have a bobber stopper with me, but I can show you where to put it. So basically, here's the hook. It goes in, and it's a weedless presentation on the worm or bait you have there. So basically, the bait will fall down nose first, and this weight will slide down, and it'll slide continuously throughout your retrieve, and just give it some nice action to it. So going over some of the different weights you can use, personally this is a steel weight here. I like using steel. You can use tungsten, but that will be a little bit more expensive, but I would just suggest using a regular steel worm weight. I always use Eagle Claw. This is what this is. I use a lot of the products. The hooks are Eagle Claw. Like this is an Eagle Claw laser sharp hook, and I really suggest using them, so be sure to check them out. Like I said before, you can use many different types of soft plastics when you're doing the Texas rig. So first off, you're going to need a worm hook here, as you can see. And the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to select the bait that I want. So I'm going to use the stick bait first to start out. And you're just going to do a weedless presentation here. So how you would normally rig a weedless worm or soft plastic. So, and then through the back. So it is a weedless presentation. The hook doesn't stick out too much. So that's just your basic weedless presentation. That's the first step when you are doing a Texas rig. So the second step is you're going to take your worm weight here, and you're going to slide your line here right through it. You can use any pound test line you want. I'm personally using a 10-pound test, and you're just going to stick the line through, and you're just going to tie whatever knot that you normally use when you are tying off a lure or a hook, and it doesn't really matter as long as it's a flush knot. It's not really a big deal. Alright, so that's tight, and as you can see, we do have some excess, and what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to trim the excess off. Alright, so now that the excess is trimmed, you can take the weight here and see that it goes on flush there. One thing that you really want to make sure is that there's no crimps when you're doing your weedless presentation. I know sometimes if it's a little uneven, it can kind of get all messed up, and that'll mess up the presentation, and it'll swirl it all around in the water and stuff, and it won't look really right. So one really important thing when you're rigging this is to make sure that the eye of the hook is in the bait a little bit farther. Let's see here if it'll focus. It's inside, it's not, so there's just a part of the material of the plastic there. When that happens, the weight will bump up against the material of the soft plastic, and it'll be a smooth fit here. So there won't be metal to metal, it'll be metal to rubber or soft plastic material. And that's something that is really important when you're doing this, because you don't want it to be rattling around, and it'll give it a much more flush appearance as well, which will help in the presentation in the long run. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the weight here, and it slides around, and that's perfect. That's just what you want. So when you cast it out, the weight will go down, and then this will follow. It'll come down and reunite with the weight, giving it a very good presentation in the water. One thing you can also do if you have bobber stoppers, if you don't like the weight to be sliding, is you can take a bobber stopper and put it right on the bottom there, or actually on the top of the weight, and crimp it on, so then it won't move around. But I prefer to let it slide because it gives it a lot more action in the water. And if you want to switch out baits when you're doing the Texas rig, all you gotta do is just unrig it, and you can re-rig the new bait just like this. You don't actually have to take off the worm weight unless you're switching up the size and weight of the weight, but you can just pretty much just transform it into a completely new bait, and as you can see, the weight falls right there. For as long as the hook fits, this technique will work on pretty much any type of soft bait that we have, or soft plastic. So here's the Catchco paddle tail type worm. Here is the Yum Baits type stick bait Senko. And this one's actually a creek creature by Big Bite Baits. It's one of my favorite baits, but as you can see, the hook is in there in a weedless presentation. So as long as the hook is the right size, the bait will fit. Alright guys, so I hope you guys all learned a lot from this video, or picked up some new tricks and tips of how to use the Texas rig. It's one of my favorite baits to fish. I will definitely be doing an instructional video on how to fish the Texas rig because it yields amazing results. So stay tuned for that. I also have some videos on my channel already that go over using the Texas rig. They're mainly catch videos, so be sure to check those out as well. Yeah, and please leave a comment if you have any questions, or if you like the video, leave a like and subscribe to stay updated with a ton more content. I will be doing a giveaway soon, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be giving away a reel and possibly some bait, some hoo rags, so check that out and stay tuned. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys learned a lot. Go catch some big fish, guys. Let's cast to that.